We've lost a couple board members that will be returning. Did we have an ETA on those, Vice Chair Cummins, when?
Board member Warner should be back by noon.
Back by noon?
Where did Nelson go?
Well, we have a quorum, but I think the next item number 7 would benefit as many board members as we can to participate on that. So I think we'll table 7 just for a little while until we get board members back in. That's a big, there's 3 significant motions there. Let's move to item 8. Are you ready? Okay. Monthly budget report.
Right, yes, sir. So while Deborah's pulling it up for view by the board members on the 2 panels at the front of the conference room, I'll just say that June is the last month of the fiscal year. So we've started year-end closing procedures. Everything seems on track and on target. The USBE is in a great, sound financial position to ensure that any and all remaining obligations or commitments that we've made to be paid will be paid. I would like to point out that as you're viewing the monthly report that we provide to you by section, that the percentages, if you know, I always call your attention, as you know, as I always call your attention to the percentage of execution. This is as of the end of April, right? The end of April. So, you know, there was 2 months, May and June, where we get quite a bit of invoicing and the finalization of that too. Although I'd be remiss if I didn't again point out to you that several of our sections have grant programs that are 2-3 year grant programs. And so, you know, where you might see one section that's only like at 39% of an execution rate, it's because those grants are 3-year programs and we haven't executed those grants to the full extent of the yearly allotments and all that, okay? So we just want to make sure you're clear on that. But again, I'll testify and attest that it's been another great year. We're financially sound, meeting all of our obligations, and everything's subject to year-end close. So with that, I'll go back to you, Chair, and entertain any questions from any one of the board members on any particular section before we move over, or the overall budget, before we move over into the discretionary account briefing.
Okay, any questions from the board members? It looks like they're really diving into those reports.
Right.
Again, I'm sure they've studied them
Yeah.
previously. Deputy Superintendent, was there anything glaring that's in there
No,
as you're
any,
forecasting as you're going to the?
no, because we switched to the system we did, and it's been our first year in the system, because we're in a cost center mode, we're able to track more precisely where the dollars are going. I don't see any issues like over expenditure in any place or anything like that. Deborah, is there any issues? So, no, sir, nothing for the good of the group to alert you to or anything like that. We're financially sound.
Board Member Reby has a question or comment?
For the CHSC charter school, not that this is a huge amount of money, but the amount remaining is negative $9,750. How can we better serve this line item so that we don't have outstanding money?
What page are you on, ma'am?
Page 5, and it says charter school mentoring, 17 CHMT.
Oh, she's looking at the prior year?
Oh, no, she's looking here.
Okay.
I think it's just,
You
this
can
is probably,
testify to
oh,
it.
sorry. Is this on?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're looking at the 17.
Mm.
That's just coded in the wrong place. It should have been 16,
Okay,
so.
thank you.
Good catch. Thanks, ma'am.
Good catch. Any other questions? Not saying any, Deputy Superintendent?
All right, sir, we'll move to the discretionary briefing, or on the discretionary count. Biggest change since, so go ahead. No, you're fine. Biggest change since last briefing or last update last month is that by way of the Finance Committee, as I had testified earlier, I would make some recommendations on use of the unrestricted state funds. So you see the declination or the decline in the balance for use of $165,000 towards construction or building improvements. So we made that work, or that process work, at your direction. Again, by way of the Finance Committee, you'll get more information, detailed information from Chair Wright on that particular action. We do have a plan for the federal mineral lease money that we'll address with the Finance Committee tomorrow. Approximately the $450,000 that you have in your discretionary account. The staff's recommendation is to use that towards a legislative tracking system or software solution. My understanding is Natalie and Jill Curry will testify to that in front of the Finance Committee tomorrow so that we can get these funds expended at your direction. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Subject to any questions on any of the other line items, we're tracking expenditures pretty well.
Can you give us a brief, a kind of a brief update on these building improvements while you're into this?
Sure. I was hoping maybe Cammie is listening to this and can run in here really quick and help me out with this. As you can see, we've made a lot of progress here in the boardroom itself. There's the new carpet. We'll get there's obviously some finishing aspects that have to be made here. Tables. Next, the next two big lifts are for the construction are the parking lot arms. We had brought to the attention that typically during the summer, or to the attention of the board, that typically during the summer construction costs are higher. The decision was to go ahead and move forward though, because the summer months, typically we have less traffic here. So that'll be another big lift, so to speak. You'll start to see a lot of activity out here. Excuse me. We should be done with the parking lot modifications with the parking arms by the end of July, is my understanding. Then we're moving this reception capability or capacity up to this part of the building. As you know, most of the traffic enters from the parking lot. So you can see the curtain over here, or the plastic that's being, is covering that part. We had to move some walls out there. But there'll be a reception desk that goes in there so that we're meeting people as they come into the door. It won't inhibit traffic that goes to licensing or HR. HR's right here, licensing to my left. But it will allow for more control and visibility of traffic coming in and out of the building. So those are probably the next two biggest things. Cammie, do you have anything additional? You have to activate your mic. It'll turn red. Yep, there you go.
The only other thing I would add is we are still in the process of doing an RFP on our access for the building. And that will also include an upgrade to our security cameras. So that's another big thing that we'll have probably in the next 2 months. But we'll also be replacing the carpet and finishing some wallpaper removal on the second and basement floors as well. So just to help it look a little better.
Maybe you could speak to, this is more of a board member access issue as this is rolling out and the arms are there. Are you going to send out a communication to board members? And
Yes.
their little passes are probably
Right.
crucial to entry into the parking lot and other things, or what's your, and how's that being proposed?
So the access will be via your cards. When we get the new security system, we may need to switch out the cards depending on, because it's such an old technology, we will have some new cards that'll be issued and we'll get those to you. We will also have a portion of the back part of the parking lot, which we don't expect any board members to park in, but that still is the State Board of Education's parking lot. So they don't have to use the cards to get into the secure portion if they don't want to.
Okay, and then also for the board members, we haven't had a landing place when we come in and that. Can you speak to that and when that will be available? And
So the parking stalls, we actually had a surprise
I'm
visit
talking
this
about
morning.
more of an office.
Oh, so we have a spot where Ben Rasmussen's office used to be, and there's a nice conference room table in there as well. We have some chairs around that conference room table, so you're welcome to. We can get a phone in there. Yeah, we don't have one currently, but we can get a phone in there. So there is a place for you to come and land and work with us anytime you want.
Okay, so we're looking forward to that. So as you come in, or if you have a meeting or whatever, and you're early, or need a place to work or do something, Vice Chair Ellis.
A request if there was a place where we could, if we needed to print something without having to bother an employee, that we could hook our Wi-Fi up
Could
to
do
one of the
that, yeah.
printers
Sure.
would be
Yeah.
really beneficial for me at least. Thank you.
Said yes, so I
Yeah.
think we
Great,
can.
thank you.
Yeah, our IT guy.
Okay.
Chair, if I may just add one other thing. There's been some concerns too about access for such processes as training. You know, when we bring LEA represent, how do they get into the, we have plans for that. You know, during the board meetings itself, because it's a public meeting, we have a plan on how the public can access and get in and out without too much difficulty or challenges on your board meeting days. So we can share those details with you as we get closer to the finalization of the construction and all that. So I just want to make sure that, you know, some of the sections are concerned about the logistics of getting individuals in here for required trainings and all that too. We'll address those as we progress with the construction.
Okay. I'm not seeing any other comments.
With that, that concludes the monthly budget update to the board.
Okay. Thank you. We're just moving right along.